because of how we got started, because we were really broke, like when we got started, I mean, again, like one point we had no cars, our cars were taken away. We lived in someone else's basement welfare apartments. We were basically homeless. So we got started having to do everything ourselves. So if I want a sales process done, or I want editing on my videos, editing on my pictures, you name it, you got to do it yourself. We can't afford that. So thankfully, that's the only good thing about it is I learned how to do copywriting, funnel design, advertising, lead, everything I know how to do. So I do it for myself, and I can do it for my upcoming business.
You're listening to the Traffic Handler Podcast. We're about getting new customers, making more sales, and growing your e-commerce retail business. I'm your host, Amy Biddle. You're in for a treat. My guest today is John Weberg, and John is a catalyst for success for his clients, for people who read his work, who take his courses, who work with him and follow him. He's a very young guy, and he's already had over a decade of experience in digital marketing. So take what he says. You're really in for a treat. I really had a lot of fun with this interview. Enjoy the show. Welcome today. My guest is John Weberg, and I'm excited about this conversation. John is a miracle and a miracle worker. He's a super young guy, and he's made a lot of money for a lot of people. So I'm excited. John, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the very nice intro.
It's all true. It's all true. I'm really impressed by what you're doing. So one of the things you talk a lot about is profit over revenue. Can you jump into that and kind of unwind it for us?
For sure. So a big part of what I see in the industry, across industry, is a lot of people take a look at awards, recognition, take a look at the big picture of how much money a business is producing, but almost no one talks about the actual profit margins. Right. So when people are driving traffic, they're generating customers and they're building and they're scaling out. It's always the bigger number you see. You never actually see how much profit the company is making. So what I like to do is, one, help businesses take a larger and more critical look at the profit they're producing, help them optimize it, increase it, and so on and so forth. But really just change the focus of, yeah, your total revenue is great, but if you're not producing profit, a good, healthy profit margin, you can't scale, you can't hire more employees, you can't do anything that's necessary for growth.
Absolutely. Boy, you nailed that. So are you working mostly with coaches? I know most of the people who are watching this episode, the show, they're e-commerce, right. Sales to sales. So, and we've covered that in other episodes, but like the idea of how you sell one thing is the way you sell everything. And right. Some of the methods might differ. But what you're talking about with profits, absolutely. If you're, $1 million store, but you only got to keep $50,000 of that, that's really kind of depressing.
Right. You're actually struggling. You're producing a lot of money, but you're actually struggling. Yeah. And a majority of what I do is mainly, most sales, growth, hacking, you name it, optimization, conversion optimization, you name it, all applies regardless of industry or niche. Yes. B2B, B2C, what I found is usually there's, of course, for specific industries, there's specific kind of models of a sales process. For example, B2B, usually doing calls, usually doing more agency-like stuff, consultants, etc. B2C is a little bit different, but the general methods are still the same for sure. They're close relative, they're around the same.
Yeah, right. Okay. So when you're working with a client, okay, in your expertise, how do you get started with them? What sort of questions do you start with? How do you open up the box and find out where to start?
I basically turn to a doctor. If you're doing your job right as a consultant or as a coach, you basically turn to a doctor because you're going, number one, I need to learn everything about your situation, about your business. I need to understand your advertising, what you're doing for lead generation. I need to understand your sales process, the process you're bringing people through, and I need to understand your follow-up, if you're following up at all, which most businesses are not, which is what I can help with. So number one is really taking a huge look at actually diagnosing and seeing what the foundations businesses have in place, because most often you would think those things would be the main staples that are already taken care of and monitored, but they're not. No. So those three things, advertising, sales process, follow-up, they need to be accounted for.
Yep.
And we need to take a look at what is broken, what is not working, what you don't have in place. If you don't have upsells, downsells, you don't have one-click order bumps, you don't have even basic follow-up in place. Some businesses, the most common issue I talk to businesses is I follow up once a month, and I'm like, you just gave me a heart attack. Okay. Because follow-up is like all the cha-ching, all of the profit you want is in follow-up, among other things as well. So diagnosis and taking a real actual in-depth look at what businesses are lacking. Because most of the time, I've never seen a business who has too much in place. It's usually a big lacking we got to take care of.
Not enough. Right. So fix what's broken. That's number one. Cool. Absolutely. So let's see. You tell us a story of like a client. You don't have to name them. You can if you want to, but a client who started with you, and I mean, I saw some crazy numbers, some really cool stuff. So just pick somebody and tell us how you worked with them and what you did to help.
For sure. So one of the biggest wins was for a launch, because a part of what I do in business as well is affiliate marketing. There's a large launch for in front of the industry that we've known for years and years and years. Usually have those business partnerships that every once in a while something comes up for an event or for a launch or something happens that we want to get involved with each other. So there was a company called Traffic Authority and List Leverage. We decided to bring a bunch of customers in for them, make a huge campaign, launch a bunch of ads, build out between 2 and 3 sales processes just for our own bringing of them for clients. And of course, we write 20, 30 follow-up email series to make sure we're doing what we prescribed to do. And I believe we had a between $40,000 and $50,000 day and a half, which was fantastic. That's not too shabby. So that was one of the biggest increases in immediate profit, immediate revenue. Of course, launches naturally do well. So some of it you can account to that because it's a new product. But we were I believe we were the second or first affiliate for that, and we did excellent. And we still promote their product and services today. And that was probably one of the most successful, happiest moments. And also, as well, there's a company called Hosky Media. Shout out to Antonio Bafanuso. I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. There's like 30 letters in it. I know it starts with a B and there's an F in there and there's an O. My bad. But Hosky Media, I did some consulting. He's a good friend of mine. One of the best ad creative agencies and ad creative work I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Harmon Brothers. The Harmon Brothers are famous advertisers in the space. His stuff's comparable, cheaper as well, and comparably as good. Very good work. So I help them raise their prices. I think they've raised their prices 2 or 3 different times now, which of course increase their profit exponentially. Agencies can do that in really particular ways, really easily. So help them with that. And there's a large variety of cases that there's a lot of little tweaks you can make, and those little single tweaks can explode profit exponentially. I'm talking too much, but I have one more example. Just an example.
This is good. Yeah.
Every business owner that is listening, entrepreneur, etc., if you do not have a one-click order bump, so simple, you are costing yourself 2 to 3 times your current profit. An example of that, I have 2 books I've self-published, and on the second one, I sold digitally for $9.
Right.
Okay, so for $9. I decided I'm going to add a one-click order bump for $37, which is 4x the book price.
Yes.
50% of every single customer who bought the book bought the one. That's not including all the upsells. I have 5, 6, 7 upsells beyond it. Yeah. So one little tiny order bump, a 2 to 4x profit increase.
Yes.
That's it. That's all it takes. And that's what businesses got to realize is you do know your business, you know your products, but there's so many different things you can do to optimize that you're just missing that you need to do. Please, one-click order bumps, magic.
Yep. Absolutely. That's fantastic. So, you weren't born knowing this stuff, but it came shortly after. You're, I love the stories and I want to go back to some of the details, but you
Mhm.
describe yourself as a second generation digital
Yep.
marketer. How did
Yep.
that happen?
So yeah, my dad got me into this stuff. He had two offline businesses, both of them in '08 in the '08 crisis in the United States and so forth, went
Yep.
bankrupt.
Yes.
Him and my mom were working 2 to 3, 4 jobs apiece.
Yep.
They were working. At the same time, he decided to go into the online space.
Mm.
I'm like, he says I was around 11 when I got started. I say around 13. It depends on when you count. But anyways, around between 11 and 13, I was watching. And I was into gaming at the time. So I decided, you know what? I can do some of this online stuff. I'm not going to tell him about it, but I want to create my own blog because that's how he had a blog and a few different things.
Sure.
So I created my own blog. And actually, after creating this blog, I then went to my school and convinced my teacher for me to teach the entire class how to start their own blog.
Nice.
So I did that, and that was my kind of first little dabble into the space. And as well, he was using some free lead and traffic generation methods. I
Yes.
started using those. And around probably the age of 14, 15, he noticed that. He's like, son, you have a blog? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're driving traffic to it? You have subscribers? What are you doing? I'm like, well, I've been watching and I decided to implement what I kind of saw you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually building a little bit of an online presence. And that was my first kind of intro into digital marketing, the online space. And thankfully, that's all I've done ever since. And it is my complete love.
That's great. Oh, it's a good love. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. So, just out of curiosity, what platform were you on when you were blogging?
Oh, back then it was Blogspot, not
Oh,
HubSpot. I think it was
ancient
Blogspot,
history.
or
Awesome.
it
Yeah.
was an old blogging platform. Blogger, Blogspot, I believe it was something like that. Yeah, it was some old one. I think it still exists, but it's not
It's
one of
not
the
what it
main
was.
ones.
Right.
No, not what it was now.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. So, well, that's cool. So you've been doing this a long time and age doesn't matter anymore. Age doesn't matter
Age
anymore.
don't mean nothing.
Old people like me, we can be online. Young guns like you could be online, even when you were still in middle school. So
Right,
that's just
literally.
awesome. And it's still like that. So, I know one of the things you do, and this is kind of fun, you actually can fly out to somebody and spend
Yes.
time with them. You want to
Mhm.
talk about that program? Because that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
thank you. Well, what I saw was well, one thing is I know about myself that I love working with people. Working
Mhm.
with people is my number one favorite thing. Just interaction, learning about how people think, and then how they can think relative to their business, and then connecting the two, and all that good stuff, optimizing both.
Yeah.
I decided, you know what, I need to be able to work with people who want me to actually go to them.
Yeah.
So that's what one thing I do is that where I can actually fly to someone. I'll fly to you. We'll take care of your sales process, your advertising, your follow up, you name it, all of that at once. And then as well is for sake of being scalable,
Hmm.
for time wise, while I can do that, while I can actually go places and consult, I also am working on right now a process where it takes my time entirely out of the equation.
Yes.
So imagine, are you familiar with Salesforce at all?
Yep.
So imagine Salesforce, because Salesforce is basically the omni tool for businesses.
Yes.
You want the tool, service, etc., autoresponder, CRM, it has it.
Hmm.
There isn't, in my mind, a place where there's an omni education for businesses. So if you want to scale your sales team, your HR, your tax department, your financials, your marketing team, you name it. So my mind is, why not create that? Because you have Udemy, right? You have Udemy, but the education there is mediocre.
It's
It's
not really what you need, right? It's good to
right,
get
right,
started for ideas, but that's about it.
right. That's about it for ideas. And then also there's other people who are masters of the craft. Like there's Frank Kern, there's Russell Brunson for you want funnels, you
Mhm.
want ROI, you want all these different things, but there's no one person that has it all.
Yeah.
So I figured, why not create a platform where everything you need, whether it's templates, whether it's education, or whether it's resources, etc. So I'm in the process of creating that.
Awesome.
Fingers crossed. I
Yeah.
have 500 hours I've estimated of content to record.
Yes.
So it's going to be a huge endeavor, but that's something I'm excited about as well, because I love the in-person aspect.
Yeah.
But if I can create something that's super scalable and then also serves everyone, I'm very excited. Just creating the content is going to take some time.
It's going to take some time. Yeah. Having produced courses before, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a beast, and it does take a lot of time. And one of the things is, if the platforms that you're teaching about have changes, oh,
Yeah, that's
it's a nightmare.
you understand exactly. Yeah, that's something we did when we had a couple things we used with ClickFunnels, and ClickFunnels would change and make an update, and you're like, oh, the entire thing I showed you on how to build your funnel is broken.
It's
Now I
right.
have to re-record all
Yeah.
of the material.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you get that done, that's going to be awesome. Is that going to be on your website? That's going to be
That will
available.
be on my website. I'm actually deciding if I have a current platform called Marketing Mastery Elite.
Mm-hmm.
It has probably about 40 to 50 hours of education on there right now.
And that's
It's
already
not
on there.
right. That's already live. So
Okay.
I have it that exists. People can buy it, but I might change the name and obviously add more education, because I don't know if Marketing Mastery Elite in my mind covers everything's more marketing based. But again, Salesforce is more, it's sales, but kind of covers everything. So I'm deciding I'm going to get a new domain. Last 3 nights, all I've been thinking about is I need a new domain. What's this domain going to be? Finding ones that aren't $700,000. I found one that was that much. I'm like, no, thanks.
No, thank
So
you.
I'm looking
Pass
for a
on
new
that one.
domain. Yeah. Some of them are ridiculous, but you can usually find a good steal, good to find a one that matches with what you need. And I'm searching and getting those creative juices flowing to find the right one.
Good. Well, that's going to be great. So so that's pretty much what's coming up for you, is
That's what's coming up.
this monster course.
Monster. Yep.
So all the stuff that you do for other people, you do that for yourself too, right? Like,
yep, absolutely.
Outreach, sales, follow-up.
Yep. So because of how we got started, because we were really broke, like when we got started, I mean, again, like one point we had no cars, our cars were taken away. We lived in someone else's basement welfare apartments. We were basically homeless.
Yeah.
So we got started having to do everything ourselves.
Yes.
So if I want a sales process done, or I want editing on my videos, editing on my pictures, you name it, you got to do it yourself. We can't afford that. So thankfully, that's the only good thing about it is I learned how to do copywriting, funnel design, advertising, lead, everything I know how to do. So I do it for myself, and I can do it for my upcoming businesses and when I'm creating it. It's great as well. I think it's something that most entrepreneurs should do a little bit of, is learn a little bit about the other skill sets, because they all integrate together. Copywriting works with everything. You use communication, copywriting in everything you do. And understanding how, for example, if someone is in sales, if they understand the marketing and the sales process that brought the client in, not just being on the sales call itself, you can much more easily sell and communicate with the customer, because you actually know what they've seen and you can address that live. So that's something I'm also a huge proponent of, is you're a salesperson, you're marketing, you're in HR, etc. Learn a little bit about those other areas, because you can use that and be a lot more resourceful when you're working with a customer, client, etc.
Yes, absolutely. So you've mentioned affiliate marketing a few times.
Yes.
And do you always partner with your clients, or just kind of cherry pick, like, well, I'm going to be an affiliate with this one because we're going to make some real, well, I don't want to swear. People show
so
this.
A lot of cashola.
Yeah. So they're making a lot of sales, and you want to succeed with them. So you go into an affiliate partnership with them and run that. How does that work? I mean, do you have a special agreement? Do you have do you set up the affiliate marketing process with them and for them?
Absolutely. So the first thing you do is, number one, if they have an affiliate program. If they do, great. 2, it's got to be rewarding enough. There has to be a good percentage of compensation for it. Otherwise, it's not worth the time. You have to pay a decent industry standard commission.
Yes.
Number 3, got to really like the company, really like also where they're heading. If the owner and or the people I've worked with seem intelligible, they seem genuine, ethical, They're not in a rush. They're centered, I guess you could say.
Yes.
They seem like good people. Okay, I'll consider working with them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what you want to make sure is they have some tools, some imagery, some branding images. They have to have some kind of actual affiliate resources, because a lot of times businesses just have just one affiliate link,
Mm-hmm.
which that's fine, but I have to build out literally everything.
Yeah.
Which, if you want affiliate marketing to do well, you do actually want to build out a lot of your own stuff. So regardless of if they have some stuff or if they don't, I also want to make sure I build out. If I'm selling, say, a speaker, I would make speakers next to my desk.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm selling speakers, I will probably create 1 or 2 funnels combined with between 3 and 6 sales pages.
Great.
Which is, for most businesses, 6 sales pages. You want one main one. You want one main one that you split test, that you optimize. That's always going to be your main sales process that customers go through. You optimize this, you make it as fine-tuned, as profitable as possible.
Good.
But what most businesses don't realize, because they're not thinking about it, is your leads and people seeing any of your messaging, you have to build genuine trust with them, like no one trust.
Right.
And the way you do that is by relating to them from a variety of different varying messaging and communication. So you do that through, most businesses do it through discounts and deals. I have discounts, I have deals this week. Here's a bonus.
Right.
Well, how much storytelling do you do? How much do you tell the story of how your business was created, how the product was created? How much do you talk about the vision for your company? How much do you talk about your own personal life, and syndicate that and kind of combine it with how you're selling it? There's a variety of different things you can do in follow-up and in different sales pages. You can focus entirely on testimonials. You can focus entirely on social proof. If you use a combination of all these different things, and there's a bunch more, you're able to drastically increase conversions, because you're relating with, one, the personality type, the multiple different kinds of personality focuses of each individual customer and client, and also the variety within your audience.
Yes.
So I like to see social proof, and I'm also very factual.
Yes.
So I look for those 2 things. Some people are more emotional. They want more of a storytelling. They want more of a video reel. They want more of really impactful testimonials. So if you use all of that in your business and marketing and sales, you're way more likely to convert clients. And it does really, really good for improving conversions.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of, you've given us a masterclass on a whole bunch of ideas that e-commerce businesses aren't necessarily doing. So taking from your, coaches and consultants sort of marketing and applying that into e-com, that's going to be gold for the listeners.
Oh, totally. And for e-com, I will say, if a lot more of the listeners are a little bit more e-com, you, especially the storytelling of your product and service, of how you came up with the idea for it, your vision for the company, using humor, creating funny skits for your business. You want to use that, again, across sales pages, across follow-up, you name it, because that's what connects people. For example, why is Tesla so big? Variety of reasons. But one of the reasons, number one, is when you get a Tesla car, you're getting more of a driving experience. You're not getting a vehicle.
Yes.
Because their car dances. Their car has a variety of different things it does. I don't even know. You can play games in it. You do all types of things. You're getting a driving experience.
While it's driving you.
Right. One, their product is far superior. Number two, the personality and the head of the company is such a partially polarizing, but also kind of out there individual who's being seen, is it drives the company forward. So think about, though, Hilton, or think about all these other brands that don't really have a figurehead. They don't really have any branding to them. They don't really have any main messaging to them. Right. I can't think of anything for Hilton. It's a big brand, though. It's huge. I can think of my imagery that immediately pops to head for Nike. I can think of imagery immediately for Walmart, etc.
Yep.
So the reason why they have that, though, is they're not just a hotel chain. They're a different kind of company because of how they represent themselves. So e-com, you've got to use video. You've got to use storytelling. You've got to use a variety of different ways to relate, and not just sell with discounts and packaging deals, which those are good things, but it's not everything. Use so much other resources to be creative in your messaging. You're going to convert way, way more clients.
Way more. Absolutely.
Way more.
I would really encourage people listening to apply what John is saying. Go back to the beginning, listen right from the beginning, and listen to all the nuggets, because the order bump, the upsells, the affiliate marketing, getting other people to sell your stuff. Holy cow, it's not just running ads. So, John, this is phenomenal. Our time here flew today. Where can people find more about you?
Number one, YouTube. Just go to YouTube, look up my name, John Weberg. Find my videos, watch them, like them, subscribe, hit notification button. Great. Otherwise, just go to johnweberg.com. I have my book on there. I have the courses that I mentioned.
Yes.
I have the Fly to You service. I have a bunch of different things on there as well.
Great.
And mostly what I tell anyone listening to me, of any of my messaging, listen, learn, and actually apply. Because the biggest thing is people listen. They research. They're learning how to and want to optimize their business. They want to grow it. They want to make it more profitable. They put nothing into place.
Yep.
If anyone listening does one thing, do the order bump.
Yes.
Please do the order bump. Number two, I'll add a couple more. Follow up on a minimum of an every day or every other day basis with your entire audience, with your entire, whether it's through content creation, whether it's through emailing your email list, every single day. Even if it's a story about, I made a sandwich today, and you relate that to your product, because there's layers in this sandwich. And there's layers to how our product is affected. Literally things like that actually work. I've done videos of myself in the shower. I've done videos with my head in the stove. I've done videos of all types of crazy stuff, especially for affiliate launches. They do amazing because they're humorous, they're relatable, they're different, they stand out. When people do that kind of stuff, it actually works. So apply. And then I'll also leave it with a quote. 2, aspire for progress, hunger for success, and strive for greatness. Obvious meaning. And then your attitude is not defined by your life. Your life is defined by your attitude.
Mic drop. That's awesome. John, thank you so much for being here. This was really great. And I know everyone's going to benefit from your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, too. I appreciate you.
You've been listening to the Traffic Handler Podcast. We're about getting new customers, making more sales, and growing your e-commerce retail business. I'm your host, Amy Biddle. Get more at amybiddle.me. And until next time, go sell more stuff.